Hi everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're finally going to be discussing Adrien a bit more in the finale and his role, or his lack of a role, and why, in my opinion of course, it's just a terrible writing decision. I know I am not the only one who has noticed, but after the finale, when I say after the finale, I know not much has happened, but from the actions that took place in the finale, it just kind of seems that Adrien is basically becoming a plot device. They're sidelining the male lead, like, quite majorly, not just a little bit, like, by a lot, for reasons I don't understand, so let's get into it and talk about why it just doesn't make sense. So this isn't an original thought. I think we all think this, and you've all thought this at some point or seen someone else say it, but Adrien is basically the reason why the show exists. Without Adrien coming into existence, without him being created, Emily wouldn't have used the Peacock Miracle, she wouldn't have got ill, and therefore Gabriel wouldn't have his motivation to do what he does during seasons 1 to 5. He wouldn't have become Hawk Daddy to try and save her. And as a result, I do kind of think, as much as I love Marinette, this isn't meant to be a video about hating her. I love Marinette dearly, okay, I just want to give the poor girl a hug. But I do think the fight in Recreation was kind of meant to be his, to be honest. The show happened because of him, and not only is his dad the villain who's been akumatizing all of his friends and manipulating them, but he was abusing Adrien too, which while that was present in other seasons, I would argue the abuse was much more prominent in season 5. Like in Transmission, giving Adrien an alliance ring so he could become a more powerful Akuma villain, ordering Adrien not to be with Marinette in Pretension, and the white torture rooms in Confirmation. There are more instances of the abuse, I've just picked a few of the more major ones. I'm sure you can think of some more. So all that tension was built up between them all season. Like I said, there was signs of abuse in other seasons, but in my opinion it was far more prominent during season 5. So all that tension was built up between them, with Adrien getting more and more angry with his dad, which he says to his dad's face in Representation.
Adrien. I'm guessing he's avoiding you. You don't seem like a very nice father.
And it really, in my opinion, was for nothing. It goes nowhere. It was just really unsatisfying to watch. And I know you could argue that Cat Noir confronting Nightmare Mentor and Representation was Adrien's moment to confront his dad. And don't get me wrong, I kind of agree, and it was really good. It was literally the only parts of Representation I actually enjoyed. You all know how I feel about the episode. In my opinion, the worst episode in Miraculous history, and for the most part I think it was a waste of time. In my opinion. But because in those scenes Gaby Baby doesn't know Cat Noir is his son, and also because Adrien isn't aware that Gabriel is Monarch Daddy, it really lacks a satisfying conclusion, because now Gabriel is dead. He will never know that his son was Cat Noir, and while I do hope one day Adrien will find out, he will know, in that fight in Representation he doesn't know, and therefore it lacked the impact that scene truly could have had. And while Ladybug's fight with Gabriel in Recreation was really good, and I thought it was well done, maybe this is just me, let me know, but I feel like the scenes between them in that episode felt a bit hollow without Adrien, Cat Noir, there to fight as well. Like I said, this fight was meant for him, and don't get me wrong, the Marinette needed to be there. I don't mean we should switch them. It should have been Marinette and Adrien fighting him, Ladybug and Cat Noir. Gabriel was pretty horrible to Marinette for most of this season as well, so it was really satisfying getting to see her to be able to properly stand up to him after the way he's treated her. Like that moment where she rolls out the kitchen cupboard, transforms and kicks him in the face. Amazing. So while I'm really glad she gets that, which did feel satisfying after the way he's been treating her all season, half of that satisfaction is missing because Adrien doesn't get his moment to finally stand up to his dad, because he never truly understood what his dad had done. So I know I'm not the only one who wanted Adrien to be in the finale, and while I understand it was likely for some dramatic plotline in season 6 where we see him find out in the ensuing fallout, but knowing that doesn't stop this moment in Recreation from being unsatisfying. And several people have told Thomas Astruc this, and they are braver people than me because I haven't been following that man on Twitter for over a year now. And in response he was like, well, Adrien finding out would have resulted in Cat Blanc. Now, in my opinion, Adrien wouldn't have been akumatized into Cat Blanc had he been there in the finale to fight. He has had so much growth since Cat Blanc. In Cat Blanc, he still very much loves his father, despite knowing what his dad has done, because obviously he finds out in that moment when he's akumatized, just before he finds out his dad is Hawkmoth. Although I don't know how he managed to get all the way downstairs in his own house to the basement and not realise his dad was Hawk Daddy. Did he just assume his dad was renting out the basement to the local lunatic? I don't know, it's not the point of the video. But anyway, in my opinion, Adrien in Cat Blanc still really loves his father a lot. And while I'm sure Adrien at the end of season 5 does still have some love for his father, it's not the same in my opinion. Adrien in seasons 1 to 3 is very innocent, whereas over the course of season 4 and then more so season 5, because Gabriel's abuse of him becomes a lot more prominent, his opinion of his father starts to change. In Mega Leech, for example, he tries to stand up to his dad. He tries several other times in season 5, like in Protection and Pretension and Revolution. He tries all the time. Adrien has developed as a character partially due to Gabriel's poor treatment of him, as well as his relationship with Marinette, and just being out in the world. He previously wasn't. Before the show even started in Origins, he was only influenced by like Gabriel and Natalie, and I would assume his mum. But he has developed quite a lot, and I would argue most of Adrien's development has happened in season 4 and season 5 after Cat Blanc. So if Thomas Astruc knew his characters well enough, he should know that Cat Blanc wouldn't happen again, because he's managed to develop past the point of being akumatized into him again. And by Thomas admitting that Adrien would become Cat Blanc again, is admitting that Adrien hasn't developed as a character, which is a weird flex, but okay, I wouldn't admit that if I were you. But he has developed a lot more, and had he been there, in my opinion, he wouldn't have been akumatized into Cat Blanc again. I do feel like his relationship with Ladybug would have been strong enough this season, even without knowing that she's actually Marinette. She is actually the girl he's in love with. I don't think it would have resulted in an Akuma. I think he would have managed to be strong, and yeah, he would have been sad, but he would have managed to avoid akumatization. So another major concern, where Adrien is concerned, is that they are meant to be partners equals. That's what Ladybug and Cat Noir are meant to be. The Miraculouses are the opposites of each other, and so are their levels of luck. Marinette is super clumsy and unlucky, but she's really happy with her life, whereas Adrien is really lucky to have the opportunities he has, but he's actually quite sad. They were literally made as characters to complement each other. They work together really well in seasons 1 to 3. Ladybug then ignores Cat Noir in the second half of season 4, but they make up at the end of Strike Back, and she realises just how much she needs him and how much she's neglected him in like the second half of season 4. It kind of starts at the end of Optigami, is basically kind of where it opens with that. But Adrien not being there for the fight in Recreation does kind of put all of their hard work to rebuild over season 5 in the bin and reduce him back to being a sidekick instead of Ladybug's true equal, her proper partner. So someone asked Thomas Astruc about this, and they said, I don't mind you making him miserable, but he doesn't feel like a protagonist. His name is literally in the title and is marketed as Ladybug's partner, but it legit does not feel like this when you watch. And in response he said, she's Barbie, he's Ken. Now, as I said at the start of this section, Adrien and Marinette were made to complement each other. That's how they're set up at the start of the show, and as this person points out, it's called Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. And comparing it to Barbie and Ken? No. Growing up, I personally didn't get to see any Disney princess films. The first one I saw was Tangled. That released in 2011. I didn't see it until 2015. I was born in 1996. So I went like 20 years of my life without ever having seen a Disney princess film. Don't get me wrong, I knew like the general story, I knew some of the songs from them because people would sing them at school and stuff, but I never actually saw a Disney princess film until Tangled came out, although I didn't see it when it came out, okay? I was raised on Thunderbirds, The Chronicles of Narnia, and the Barbie movies, including this one. This was the first Barbie movie I ever saw. You can watch it for free on YouTube. Oh my god, Barbie and the Rockers, what a time to be alive. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, the Barbie movies are all amazing, they're all so good. And Barbie is pretty much always the main character, with the exception of, like, for example, the Christmas Carol film. However, and please stay with me here, this does relate to Miraculous, I promise it does, but I just need to explain a bit about the Barbie cinematic universe, because yes, there is one. So sometimes she is herself in the movies, or she's an actress playing a part. So as we see in Barbie, A Fashion Fairy Tale, it opens with her on a set filming for Princess and the Pea. She and the director disagree, she is fired, and then Ken breaks up with her over the phone. So Barbie's like, screw you, Ken. She doesn't say that, but she totally should have, and she goes to spend time with her aunt in Paris. How ironic. There are other Barbie movies where she is Barbie, like Barbie, A Fairy Secret, but in a lot of them she is playing a role. So in Barbie as Rapunzel, she is playing Rapunzel, in Barbie as Swan Lake, she plays Odette, and in Barbie and the Nutcracker, she plays Clara. Now, Ken is in all of these movies, or a Ken stand-in. Ken actually only seems to be in the ones where Barbie is herself, like in A Fashion Fairy Tale, but in Swan Lake, Ken is Prince Daniel, in Nutcracker, Ken is the Nutcracker, and in Rapunzel, he is Prince Stefan. So I am aware that all these Ken stand-ins do roughly look the same. That was just due to the animation at the time. Like the Barbie movies go through like different animation eras. The men look quite different now in some of the more modern Barbie movies. These ones are quite old, I've picked, but these ones are my favourite. But they're not the same person, they're not meant to be Ken, they're not meant to be played by the same man. They're all quite different, but they all serve the same function in the Barbie movies, in that they are just an accessory to Barbie. Now, I wouldn't usually describe anyone, especially men, as an accessory. Okay, I know men aren't an accessory. However, Ken is a doll, he's not real, so I don't particularly mind describing him like that. But I think by now you've all seen this clip from the Barbie movie, the one that released with Margot Robbie recently, even if you haven't seen the whole movie.
Barbie has a great day every day, but Ken only has a great day if Barbie looks at him.
Ken relies on Barbie for everything. Ken needs Barbie in order to breathe, okay? He needs this lady. And while Ken, or the Ken stand-in in the other Barbie movies, can be helpful in those films, he is usually just there for romance most of the time. The Barbie movies are about girl power. Barbie saves herself, and if she can't do it on her own, another female character usually helps her. And Ken is just there. He offers support, and he's great, and I love him, but Barbie saves herself pretty much all the time. Barbie is the main character, and Ken is just her favourite NPC. He is just an accessory to make her look good, and again, please don't describe anyone like that in your life, but it's okay to describe Ken like that because he is not real. He is a piece of plastic, so that's fine. And it's fine, in my opinion, that Ken is like that to Barbie. It's the way Barbie is set up. The first Barbie doll was released in 1959. Ken didn't appear until 2 years later, and even now, Mattel still don't make all that many male dolls unless it's for a Barbie movie tie-in, which I found out after watching too many stop-motion Barbie videos where she has a rivalry with Yasmin from the Bratz dolls. Don't ask what I watch when I'm not doing this, okay? Like I said, Barbie and Ken are set up as unequal. He is just an accessory to her. And that's fine, that's the way it's meant to be. It's set up like that. She is meant to be the main character, he is absolutely not meant to be. I wouldn't even argue he's the male lead. There isn't a male lead in Barbie films. He's just kind of there. But Marinette and Adrien are meant to be equal. They're in the title of the show together, they're miraculous, and their powers and just their lives in general are complete opposites of each other. Even Marinette and Adrien's civilian outfits, when you invert them, are the same colour. They are equal. They're wearing the same thing in the inverted colours of each other. They are meant to be equal, they are meant to be the same. So for Thomas Astruc to just be like, Adrien is Ken. Has he ever seen a Barbie movie? Because if that was his intention from the start, and if it's fine if it was, if he wanted it all to be about girl power, he should have just called it Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and not have the Miraculous be equal. This is why I prefer the Miraculous movie so much more in this aspect, and honestly so much more in most aspects. While Marinette is still the main character in the movie, Adrien does get a good chunk of screen time still. He is properly explored, he's there for the final fight, and both Ladybug and Cat Noir only have one power each. Cat Noir has his Cataclysm and Ladybug has her Restoring power. And throughout the whole film they hammer home the message, stronger together. This is what their partnership is supposed to be like. Barbie and Ken are not stronger together. Barbie is strong on her own, she doesn't need Ken. And while Marinette and Adrien are great alone, they are stronger together. There are also a couple of other things from last season that don't quite make sense with Adrien's character either, like how in Haxan, Scarabella easily won in a fight with him. Like, I know Alia has been Rena Rouge before, but if my Miraculous Ladybug timeline is anything to go off, which you should totally watch if you haven't already, Adrien is Cat Noir pretty much every single day for a year. If you've had several months of experience, at this point of fighting over the other person, which he absolutely has over Alia, he really should be able to beat her in a fight. I don't get it. And on top of that, he also has prior fighting experience with fencing, which his Cat Noir baton directly lends to. You know what I mean? And the other weird decision to me in season 4 was in Kuroneko. To me, Adrien reacts quite normally to the way Ladybug is treating him. He is meant to be her equal, but she ignores him, and when he tries to talk to her and offers help, she is rude to him. I'd have reacted in a similar way, yet he's made out to look like a petulant child for reacting normally to unfair treatment. Like, is he supposed to get treated unfairly and just accept it? It doesn't really make sense. Overall, there just seems to be a lack of understanding from the writers about who Adrien is as a character, and I feel there's a lot of wasted potential there, in my opinion. Like I said, I am absolutely assuming he is going to find out about his dad, and it's going to be saved for a big dramatic story in season 6, or failing that, season 7, or season 8, or season 65, I don't know. But him not being there for the final fight was so unsatisfying, despite what Thomas Astruc says about Cat Blanc and Barbie and Ken. Thomas, please do not drag Barbie into this. She is far too good for you, okay? Anyway, besties, I'd love to know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!